of the week. We take one character, give you that deep dive in the character, badass moments, top covers, must-read stories, the whole 9 yards. As usual, join me with my usual suspects. There he is.
There he is.
We were a short one, but there he is, right down there. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest star. Lettuce Comics.
I got you.
Right there. Oh, no. He's right.
He's rotating.
Okay, guys.
Musical chairs,
you
ladies
gotta
and
stop
gentlemen.
moving them on me, please. Okay, there we go. There we go. He's right over there. There we go.
I think I'm dizzy now. Wow.
Gosh, I know. Welcome, Lettuce. Welcome to the insanity.
You're
that
welcome,
is comic character of the week. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
How are y'all?
Oh,
Very
doing
good.
here. Doing good here.
Another Thursday in paradise.
Better believe it.
We're here in the pre-show, folks, so we're gonna chit-chat here a little bit, shoot the bull a little bit too, and then get some introductions out of the way.
What did the bull do? Why are we shooting it?
Oh well, it's dinner time, baby.
Well, there you go. You know what you call a steer masturbating in a field?
Oh
Please
God!
tell me, please.
Beef stroking off.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's great.
What do you call a cow with no legs?
Ground beef.
What do you call a cow with 3 legs?
Was that lean beef? Lean beef?
Yeah. What do you call a cow with 2 legs?
I don't know that
Mother.
one. Oh, yeah! I did not know that one.
Was the answer mother?
Yes.
Yeah, your mother.
Wow. Thank you, Dan, for the assist on that. That is
Wow.
absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
This is the insanity you signed up for, Les.
Y'all are really setting the bar.
Oh, God.
Those are utterly terrible.
Wow.
And After Dark is even worse. Let me just tell you right now.
Oh, After Dark, that's when we really get in the mood.
Mood.
You're setting him up, Sal, and he's knocking him down.
I know. The
high point was beef stroking off.
I know. That was good. All right, let's get some intros out of the way. Starting with me. I'm Sal the Slab Guy, your host. When I'm not here on Codex, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner. There we go. And under Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Now, down below is Dan the Man Kelly. You can always find him on Instagram art. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give a little spiel about yourself and your site?
I will put it up there. Uno momento.
Do it.
Gosh, shut up and I will.
Oh, man, he's getting feisty.
I know he is.
There you go.
Yeah, Dan Kelly art on Instagram. Go check it out. Or
This is
not,
what he can
whatever.
do. This is what he can do. He's not going to
There
talk
you go.
about himself, so we'll show what he does.
Here, I'll do that.
Gary, what do we got to do? Gary, what do we got to do?
Oh, we got to get him to 1,000. We got to get him to 1,000 followers. Drag that big D across the line, baby. 1K for DK. And listen,
1K for DK.
This is a Dan Kelly art, and when you get him to do a cover for you, it comes back with a gold label because CGC has recognized that this man is an artiste, and they will signify that it is a Dan Kelly special. So this Swamp Thing cover that he did for me, I can't compare it to all the others to see which is the highest grade because it's the only one. It's the only one. It's a one of a kind item, and you can only get that by going to the man and getting him to do one for you yourself. This is a one of one, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And I
everybody.
guarantee you it will stay a one of one because that was a pain in the dick to draw. So
There you go. And
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody at the Codex Station has gotten a unique D in their lives, and you need one too. So
D art. Yep.
Haven't we all?
Yes. Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce the man in the squared circle right over here?
Well, you know, he wears 10 pounds of gold. We're all playing catch up. I mean, what else is there to say? He's the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
He is the curator of the Library of Comics. He can't walk into a comic shop on Wednesday that's not packed with women wanting to see him. He's Uncle Gary.
That's right. Thank you for that. Listen, it is my cross to bear, but these broad shoulders are big enough to carry it. So that's what we do. So thank you for that, Dan. That's why you are the man, the road manager. And when I go to a comic shop on Wednesday, I'm not going to just any comic shop. I'm going to Comic Logic, baby. Comic Logic, Loudoun County's Virginia's only comic book store. please come in and see us. We would love to have you. So if you're in the Northern Virginia area, please come on by. We've got a lot of events coming up. Heck, we've even scheduled our fall LotCon already. So please come check us out. Hey, thank you. How you doing? And we will certainly like to see you. And if you come in on Wednesday morning, you get a special treat. Not only will you see me, but you'll see Mike Harbor, who appeared on this space just last week on our epic Sergeant Rock show. You'll get to see Mike and I, and we'll be ingesting that 4-color ink. We're going to be getting it right here. We're going to pump up them veins. We're going to get strong. I've told you before, reading comics make you strong because you start out with just one book. Then you got a stack of books. Then you got boxes. You're carrying
with that Captain America.
books. And then the next thing you know, you're carrying short boxes, long boxes, magazine boxes, and then you're stacking them some bitches. And when you stack them high and take them down and put them over here, next thing you know, you are jacked and you are packed, baby. I have told you, reading comic books make you strong. You do some push-ups too. So, all right. So,
I'll have what he's having.
That's that 4-color ink right there.
That's right, baby. It's better than Venom. Thank you. That's a great line, Hagen. Good job, brother, man. Also, we want to give some love to our good buddy, the Archduke Kevy, who has the comic character of the day site.
Yes.
The reason, if you want to blame somebody for what you see in front of you right now, that this assemblage is gathered, you blame Archduke Kevy because he brought us all together with that site, the comic character of the day site. I do a cover of the day. Dan down there does a random panel of the day, which are always great for the opening discussion. He does a question of the day. Sal is a frequent contributor. And Tim, like he is on this show, he's ever vigilant. He is watching to make sure that we give you the product that you deserve and you demand. He is there. He is your ombudsman for quality control. So that's why he is there. Now, speaking of that, man, gosh, Tim, terrible. It's one thing to hear those voices. Hear that beautiful voice, those golden tones coming out of that larynx that has been gifted by the gods themselves. But when you look upon the face, the visage that voice comes from, you know that man is doubly blessed. He took a double dose of when he was born, when he came forth in the world. God decided that man had to get the looks and the sound, and what you have, the gift that you have, that we have to give you is the one. It's the only. It's Tim the Terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary, you shower me with compliments. I hope you take me to dinner first before you put me to bed.
At this point, I don't even need to do that. I got you.
All you got to do is lure me in with an AF-15, so we're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not heard the last from Uncle Gary by his site because he is gonna. Ooh, it's getting deep in here. Absolutely. Gary, we got something we want to give to people.
Oh, listen. All the hosts that you see in front of you today, we have all the socials, and we would like nothing better than to give them to you.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Codex Station, your favorite social media platform where we're live streaming right now, please make sure to hit the like, share, subscribe, and follow. That is honestly the greatest way that you can support a channel like the Codex Station. It's easy, it's free. And you get content like this all the time, every time at the Codex Station, your favorite social media platforms. Now, Lettuce, after tonight's episode is over, I know your shirt's going to be ripped and destroyed, and you're going to need something new to wear. So I highly recommend you and everybody else head over to thecodexstation.com to get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. Once again, thecodexstation.com for all your Codex needs.
Brought to you by Mr. IT right over there.
This guy down there.
That's
our
right.
IT guy.
No,
that's our IT guy.
No, IT guy is Sal in there. I am the monkey that they've taught to press one button to show up here in front of you. That's the extent of my tech. Hagen,
Bougie, good to see you.
Hey, Bougie.
Hagen
was telling us before the show how he was doing this to his Ethernet cable and doing that, making sure this. I had no idea what the hell language he was speaking, but evidently whatever he was doing was work. But he's speaking that tech stuff that I have no freaking idea about. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of the language of comic books, let's give a big, super high Codex welcome to none other than Hagen of Lettuce Comics.
Yay!
Hey.
It is
What's
super
up?
awesome to have you here, man. I'm
Yes.
really glad that you agreed to come on and sit with us degenerates and talk about comic books and dirty jokes. It's going to be great. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Let us know who you are and where we can find you.
Yeah, my name's Hagen. I have a YouTube channel called Lettuce Comics where I try and figure out what I'm doing. I do unboxings. I rant about comic book artists. Uh, you you name it, I'll try and do it. So come check me out. I'd appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to Lettuce Comics right here on YouTube, I guarantee you will not be disappointed. His content, he's being humble. His content is amazing. It's hilarious. It's informative. And above all, it's great. Go check it out, guys. Give that man a subscription on YouTube at Lettuce.
Did you say he was lavishing praise on Rob Liefeld today?
Oh, he was so good, so awesome. You need to see it. It's amazing.
Did he have when the dirt he was piling on him? Did he need a bulldozer or just a shovel? How much dirt was he?
Just it was constant.
Constant.
Wow. Wow.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You guys said that I complimented Rob Liefeld, and YouTube has deleted my channel.
Oh,
so...
God!
YouTube's supposed to know about sarcasm.
It was really fun while it lasted. I got to tell you.
Didn't Liefeld say like 6 months ago or something that he was done drawing Deadpool? He wasn't going to anymore, and then they just announced a Deadpool miniseries he's going to be drawing.
Oh wow, that didn't last long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that wouldn't last long. It's a publicity stunt.
Of course, he's a lot. He's full of shit.
Yeah.
So he's just Brett farming it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hagen, who are your top artists? If you got a Mount Rushmore, who are your guys?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I think the very first comic book artist that I saw and loved was Alex Ross. Because
he's on my Mount Rushmore.
Ross is coming out with a lot of really good stuff when I first started collecting in like 2006, 2007. So him, and then even when I was a kid, Jack Kirby's art was just different and really, really fascinating to me. The line work was great. The proportions were weird, but it's one of those things where like you see a Jack Kirby cover and it is unmistakable. Like, so,
yep.
I think because he said his advice he would give to artists is never erase, which I guess is how he was able to draw like 18 books every month.
Yeah, he didn't have time to erase.
No.
Megan, a lot of people have seen his Commandy stuff. That is really interesting. If you look into his Commandy stuff, that's it is fantastic. He did the first 40 issues, and it's just really good. He wrote it, he drew it, he wrote it, and he drew it. And then Mike Royer inked it and lettered it. But oh my goodness,
your showcase, Gary, on Commandy was one of my favorites.
Nice.
I loved seeing that stuff.
Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Kirby. Matter of fact, my favorite Kirby stuff is Commandy, even though I know he's rocked FF and all these other stuff. But if you ask me my favorite Kirby book, it would be Commandy, man.
Nice.
Hey, so what were you saying? So you got Ross and Kirby on there. So who would be the other two on your artist Mount Rushmore?
So one of the other ones would probably have to be Mike Zeck. He was the first signature that I ever found. I found there was a book in a bin for like $8, and my dad used to give me 10 in comic book shops and tell me to go do whatever I wanted. And I picked out this book because it said that it was signed by the penciler, and me and my dad laughed about the name penciler. And I didn't know until like a couple years ago that it was penciled by Mike Zeck. So I flipped open the book, and there's his signature right there.
Wow.
Nice.
He's got Captain America 253. It was, I think, the one right after the first appearance of the Ameridroid or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a off the wall book that you wouldn't think would get signed. But I was super happy to have like a signed book when I was a kid. I thought that was a really big deal.
That's cool.
So Mike Zeck, I've really been attracted to. I was researching like who my dream team artist for Falcon would be, and I started looking at a lot of Dennis Cowan's question art, and
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that's just
good.
it's like the perfect amount of gritty, just fantastic stuff.
And
Yeah.
it really matched Denny O'Neil's scripts too.
Yeah.
That whole run of the question is good. Whenever we do the question, that will be the only recommended reading that I have.
Wow. You'll just have it on there 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. It's that
After
good.
you read this, go read it again. After you read it twice, go
Yep.
read it again.
There you go.
I've not met Cowan, but I got to meet Denny O'Neil, and I had a buddy who was a big question fan, and I got Denny to sign a question comic for him, and that thrilled him.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, guys, I guess we are ready to jump into the show. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Dan,
Why
are you ready
not?
for the intro? You ready for the intro? But okay, so let's go ahead. Tim, are you clicking buttons or am I?
Yeah,
clicking
I
buttons?
got buttons today.
All right, then. You'll have to do a 30-second clip before mine. So
All right, ladies.
choose your intro.
Oh, it'll be something good. Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, stick around. We'll be back in 45 seconds with Comic Character of the Week Falcon with special guest Hagen of Lettuce Comics. Hagen, do you like bass grooves?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
All right.
oh well,
he's
there we
he's
go.
going to fit right in with us.
You better believe it. Jamie, just for you, we got 30 seconds of groovy bass tunes.
Jamie just logged off.
Yep. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Good
Welcome
job,
back to the
son.
Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week, where we take one character, do the deep dive on this character, give you badass moments, must-read stories, and top covers, and so much more. As usual, I'm joined with my usual suspects or partners in crime, but we also have a special guest star, Hagen from Latest Comics, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a big shout out. Say, hey, how you doing, buddy? So, how y'all doing tonight? You ready to do this?
Doing good.
Very ready.
All right. Then Dan, kick us off. Give us the intro on Falcon.
All right. Well, his first appearance was in Captain America 117, all the way back in September of 1960. All right, show off.
Hagen's got one.
There we go.
He's got one too.
In September of 1969, created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan. Now, he has a much retconned origin, so I'm just going to give you the basics of it.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave out some of the bullshit that's since been retconned many times. Sam Wilson was born and raised in Harlem. As a child, he developed an affinity for birds, and he started training pigeons, and he had the largest pigeon coop in Harlem. He did have some encounters with racism growing up, which gave him kind of a jaded attitude. When he was 16, his father was killed trying to break up a fight in the neighborhood. And 2 years later, his mother was killed by a mugger 1 block from their apartment. But he didn't let it, he didn't let it, affect his affinity for people, I guess, because he ended up growing up and becoming a social worker. He was lured to a tropical island where he comes into conflict with a group called the Exiles, who was a group that had worked with the Red Skull in World War II, and they enslaved the island's populace. He meets Red Wing, his pet I guess pet, would that be the right word for it? His
Companion?
partner,
Companion, yeah.
Companion.
Red Wing, and Steve Rogers, who convinces him to become a costume hero to inspire the local people to fight back. And he trains him to become the Falcon. And then when he, finds out that Steve Rogers is Captain America, he stays on his sidekick, and then is given a suit by the Black Panther that gives him the wings that allows him to fly. As far as his powers, he has a telepathic link to his bird, Red Wing, and he can also extend this to see through the eyes of other birds as well. His suit allows him to fly, and it's resistant to small arms fire, and it jams satellite tracking. The visor that he wears has various lenses in it, so he can see infrared, has magnification abilities, has remote imaging, and the cowl that he wears has a wideband receiver in it with a transmitter and cybernetic circuitry that allows him to control his suit, from the cowl.
All right. Very good. Awesome. Nice job. All
Excellent.
right. So let's go ahead and jump into our first segment of the night. And this is how or what characteristics or what scenarios work best for the Falcon. And Gary, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with this? What do you think works best for the Falcon?
I think the Falcon works better either as a solo hero or in a very small group. I think he gets lost, when it's now, and I'm talking about the Falcon, not the Captain America iteration of Sam Wilson, where he became more of a leader of others as well. But in the Falcon iteration, I see him as very efficient in a small group, or working as Cap's partner, or working solo. And I like that he's always kept the kind of like a social justice warrior, where he keeps the neighborhood is very important to him, where he grew up, helping people that fall through the cracks or aren't assisted, by others that are, a little bit invisible to the greater population. And I love how he's there for the people that are a little bit overlooked, and that he has never let that go. And the fact that his parents, like Dan had mentioned, that his parents suffered horrific deaths, but he still has that sense of duty to his neighborhood and to the people, that he grew up around, and that he wants to make life better for them. I like him as a hero, that is more of a street level hero, and not a hero that is, always fighting. When he was put into the Avengers, that just wasn't a great fit for him back then. Now, again, him being Cap, it is. But back then, I didn't see him that way. So as the Falcon, I see him more of a solo or in a small group, and always has his, is always wearing his heart, on his sleeve to help those that or have it rougher in life than others. So that's how I like Sam Wilson.
Okay. All right. All right, Tim, why don't you go next and tell us what you like?
So, Gary, I'm going to jump right on what you said about him being a street level hero. Like Daredevil and Spider-Man, as awesome as he was fighting alongside Captain America, right? And even with his time as part of the Avengers, how come you never see Gary and Captain America at the same time? That's a good question. Hopefully Gary can answer that. But him being a street level hero, I agree with that 110%. I see him more in the streets of Harlem, the streets of New York, Brooklyn, all over the place, right? Dealing with street level crime. And him being a social worker is even better, because not only does he know how to talk with these, but he knows how to talk with this too. And he knows how to de-escalate, and he knows how to bring people down from the edge, from the ledge, whatever it may be. And he really knows how to communicate with people. I love the fact that he, out of a lot of other heroes, is not afraid to speak his mind. If he's got something to say, he's going to say it. And if it offends you or makes you upset, too bad. This is how he feels. And if you don't like it, then there's nothing that can be done about that. Exactly. I love that. I love him as a solo character. Gary, like you said, I think he works better as part of a smaller team or unit. I love that when he took over the mantle of Captain America, both inside comics continuity and outside as readers, nearly everybody was accepting of that. I mean, that was the most logical choice. Like when Winter Soldier had it, nobody liked that. Nobody wanted anything to do with that. But when Sam Wilson took it over, everybody was like, that makes sense. It's perfect. And that him and Steve Rogers both share the mantle of Captain America, I think is fantastic. And they're both recognized as equals and not as one above the other.
Right.
That's what I got to say.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let us go ahead. Tell us what you'd like best.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you guys. I think that a lot of times we talk about superheroes being street level, and we mean that as like a derogatory term. But I don't see it that way at all. Like I don't need every superhero to be able to fight cosmic threats. Like that's just not what they're for.
Right.
And I think Sam works really well as a community member. And somebody that, I mean, you know, Spider-Man's known as like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but Sam Wilson will, you know, walk old ladies across the street and fly up into a tree to get a cat. And I just love seeing down to earth superheroes.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, down to earth.
Him taking over as Captain America made a ton of sense. And his introduction into comic books. My favorite fun fact about the Falcon is that he is the first black superhero without the word black in his name. You had Black Panther, and I think Black Lightning might have come out afterwards.
Yeah.
But as far as American superheroes go, he was the very first African American superhero without the word black in his name, and I feel like that says a lot about where they wanted that character to go, and I think he's gone there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Not too much longer after him. John Stewart
came out. Yep. I was thinking of the timing on that, but yeah, Stewart was definitely after.
Stewart was after.
Yep.
But not long after. Not long.
Right.
After.
Just a couple of years probably.
But when you had Goliath come out, what was his name?
It was Black Goliath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But interesting, like we talked about last week a little bit, is the first recurring African American characters that were seen in a positive light in DC and Marvel. DC was Jackie Johnson and part of Easy Company, and for Marvel that came out about a year later, it was Gabriel Jones and Sergeant Fury. So those were the, you know, and they're not superheroes, but certainly heroes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So for my points for what I like best, you guys really, all three of you hit all the points I was going to go through. He's definitely a street level superhero. He's a man of the community. He's one of those that will look out for the people who are overlooked by the system, as Gary was mentioning there. And also, I also like him in the small team venue, one or two people, especially with Cap. Him and Captain America, I think, partner or team up well. They're
very well.
They're two peas in a pod, you might say. You know, they
if
know
you
what each
think
other's
of it,
thinking.
if you think of a duo in comic books, at least in Marvel, Cap and Falcon are one of the first that you would that should come to mind. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So really, those are the points that I was going to bring up, and you guys hit them on the head directly there. So I'll end my segment here and jump down to Dan and say, what do you got?
Yeah, pretty much what you guys said. I like when he's the, more of the street level character, when he's looking out for for people that are generally forgotten about, and he's not just and he's not just because his identity's always kind of been publicly known, or at least for a long time. So everybody knew, that's Sam. He's the Falcon. So he wasn't just fighting crime. He was also helping people in the neighborhood too, and keeping people, away from crime, and, would tell them like, you're better than this. What are you doing? And trying to help them along outside of it, not fighting, robots from outer space or, or all kinds of other stuff. Just, just helping out the people that everyone else kind of generally forgot about.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I like it best.
Guys, 2.5 years between the Falcon and
2.5. Okay.
John Stewart. So
Wow.
a couple,
I thought it was like 4, but 2.5.
no, 2.5. Falcon was in 69 and September 69, and Stewart covered 8 January of 72.
Oh wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah. One more point I think I should reiterate was the ability to talk or de-escalate. That's another important factor, I think.
Yeah.
With Falcon, because
that's what Tim said. Yeah.
He's not the type of guy that come in swinging his fist immediately.
One of my
go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say one of my favorite parts of anything that Sam Wilson's been in. It was when he was Captain America in the current Avengers run.
Yeah.
Each member of the team is off doing something specific to come to this greater conclusion or whatever. And what Sam does is he goes to where this truck driver is. It's total street level. This truck driver is overworked. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's about to get in this truck. And here comes Sam Wilson dressed as Captain America. And he's like, hey, man, what are you doing? I got to go to work, man. I got a family to feed. I got this. I got that. He's like, but you're tired. You need rest. You can't do this, but I have to. Well, I tell you what, let's go. I'll drive. Where we going? And he just hops in the truck, gets in the driver's seat, and off they go. I thought that when I was reading that, I thought that was one of the coolest things that I had seen. Like Black Panther and somebody else were off setting bombs on this spaceship or whatever. Captain Marvel's doing this. Scarlet Witch is doing that. Sam Wilson's over there helping the truck driver, making sure he gets home safe. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, and this is Badass Moments. So, Tim, kick us off with your badass moments, if you would, please.
All right. So I was talking to Lettuce about this a little bit earlier. I thought outside the box on this. So I know a lot of you guys are going to do a lot of comic book centric stuff, maybe some MCU stuff, but this is what I got. So this one is kind of a pre-badass moment, but Sam Wilson said the line. So in Endgame, right? Captain America's getting the shit kicked out of him by Thanos. He's got the broken shield and all of that stuff. And he stands up, getting ready to say, I can do this all day. He's breathing heavy. He knows that the next charge he does, he's going to die. The rest of the Avengers are down and out for the count. And as he's standing there breathing heavy, he hears a cackle or a crackle in his earpiece. And it says, on your left.
Mm-hmm.
And in the theater, awesome. I was like, I know who that is. And then it's like, Cap, can you hear me? On your left. And you turn around and here he comes out of the damn portal, Sam Wilson, Falcon, ready to go. Pre-badass, because you knew the rest of them were showing up and shit was about to get very real. And it was all because of what he said right there. I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. When
they originally did that scene in the movie, they had everybody show up at once. And when they were like, doing the editing and stuff, they're like, no, that's cool, but it's going to be cooler if we have each of them have like their own kind of moment showing up.
Yeah, their own entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next one is this is more comic centric, but it's not any event that took place inside of the comic books. It's more what happened on the cover. So, and Gary, I'm sure you can tell me the issue number, or Hagen, I think you can too. When Captain America Comics was retitled to Captain America and the Falcon with equal letter heading. Like his name wasn't smaller. It was just as big as Captain America and the Falcon on the cover of one of Marvel's most popular books. I was going to say on your left. Ace, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Ace.
I don't remember the issue number that took place in, but I know it was in the 100 somewhere.
I'm going to say it was near 130. I would guess near
133, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty...
We'll find out. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, look that up.
Somewhere in there, but when they changed the letterhead, and Gary, we've talked about this a million times about the whole top third of a book being you see in the rack. And what you see in the rack before is just Captain America. Now you see Captain America and the Falcon in the same size letterhead, and I thought that was incredibly badass. My
Yeah.
last bit is both in the MCU and in comic books is when Sam Wilson became Captain America, but he didn't necessarily.
134.
134.
Okay,
Yep.
Lettuce, you were
Man.
right there.
You're there, baby.
But yeah, when Sam Wilson becomes Captain America, he didn't just take on the shield, right? Like he did not lose his identity as the Falcon, as Sam Wilson when he took the moniker of Captain America, right? And he earned that. He didn't just take it. It wasn't handed to him. It wasn't gifted to him. He earned that title. And that him and Steve Rogers share it on equal footing, and both characters are recognized inside comics and outside in the community as Captain America, I think is incredibly badass.
That's awesome.
I
That's
like
awesome.
Yeah,
Good
outside
stuff.
the box tonight, gentlemen.
Mhm.
No worries. That's all good. All right, Hagen, what do you got?
All right, so I've got there was a fight that he had with John Walker in Sam Wilson Captain America 12 and 13. It was at the end of 12 into the beginning of 13. And one of the things that I really like about the Falcon is that he never took the super soldier serum. He's just
Yeah,
he's just a
regular
regular
guy.
dude.
Yeah.
And he's getting his ass kicked. But he knows that like I can't fight him out here in the open. I have to be smart about this. And he goes into a dark tunnel and he starts using his superpower that where he can see through the eyes of birds, and he starts looking through the eyes of the owls in the tunnel, and he just mops the floor with John Walker. I love
Nice.
anytime John Walker gets hosed. It's so therapeutic. It's great. But that was fantastic because John Walker was you've got no right to carry that shield. I know how that feels. You're not that guy. You're not him. And then at the end of the fight, Sam was like, I'm not trying to be him. Nobody can be him. I'm not trying to be him. I'll call you an ambulance, basically. Like that was how it ended. It's just fantastic. If you want a more simple one panel moment, there was in the Falcon 2017 sort of miniseries. There are vampires. Don't question that. It's just a comic book thing. But
There's
one
always
of these
vampires.
You know, they ought to
threatens-
do a current storyline with vampires. I think it might sell.
Yeah.
Right.
One of these vampires starts threatening Misty Knight, who he has like an on again, off again thing with at that time.
She's so cool in her own regard.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And he gets pissed. And because it's not a person, we can get away with this. He takes his wing and slices this thing from like head to groin clean in half.
Wow.
It's just awesome. Bonus Red Wing moment. Red Wing flies through a window and like flies clean through another vampire. That was awesome.
Wow.
And then one of the other ones that I have is in all new Captain America #3. He has this conversation with Sin, the daughter of Red Skull, and they're basically in a fight, and she starts talking about how Sam Wilson used to be Snap, and she was throwing all of this stuff in his face, and this is when that was retconned. That's my least favorite thing that was ever done with that character.
I read that, like, when I was reading Mad Bomb today, they called him Snap, and I have no context as to why that is.
Yeah, so basically I think it's in the 140s somewhere. There's an issue where Red Skull says, like, you think that this man is Sam Wilson, but he's actually Snap Wilson, a hustler from Harlem, and I made up this whole backstory and used the cosmic cube and
Yeah, it was a cube.
yada yada yada. I gave him this thing with the birds and to be a perfect trick on you, Captain America, Steve.
I've got you now.
And it took them years to be like, maybe we shouldn't turn this character who for Marvel Comics is super important for like when that character came out in the civil rights movement. it took them years to even kind of halfway rewrite it. This is when it was fully rewritten, because Sin says all this stuff about how this was what Red Skull did, and Sam Wilson was just beating her down like, I'm Sam. I've always been Sam. Nothing's going to change who I am. And regardless, like, your past doesn't define you. And that was just a really cool character moment, I think.
Well, see, that makes a lot of sense now, because while I was reading the issues, they like one time they called him Snap, and I was like, why are they calling him that? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's one of the more maddening things that's happened in Sam Wilson's story. Just to lazily rewrite an origin like that was infuriating, and I'm really glad that got fixed.
Too. Yeah, Snap Wilson just sounds dumb too.
The good thing about comic books, though, is that if you don't pay attention to it, most of the time they don't call back to it, so you can just pretend like it didn't happen, and that's what I did forever, because I hated it. And little bonus moment. I know we were only supposed to come up with 3, but little bonus moment.
Give us a bonus moment.
In the MCU, in the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, the last episode where he puts on the suit, he's got the shield, his whole helicopter fight.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Was awesome. He does
great.
Like the Peregrine Falcon dive directly through a helicopter and is taking dudes out. And the creative ways that a flying character is able to use that shield. It was just so cool. I know that a lot of people didn't like Winter Soldier and the Falcon, and I've got like problems with it.
I thought that show was great.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. But that MCU helicopter fight was just so good.
Wyatt Russell was such a perfect dick as Walker.
I love the scene when USA, when he's still Cap, when he's fighting the bad guys, kind of getting his ass kicked, and Bucky and Sam are just hanging back, like, yeah, looking good. Like, little helper, like, yeah, looking good, man. Strong, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go next then for badass moments, and I'm actually going to pull one from the MCU as well, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was either the first or second episode where he's doing the freeway rescue, and he saves Winter Soldier by going underneath the truck to grab him. That was some epic flying moments there, and basically any flying fight scene that he has done has been pretty epic, including Captain America and Winter Soldier at the end where they're taking the helicarriers over.
Yeah,
the way he was like flying and then like closing his wings to get out of the line of missiles, to then open up his wings again to fly off again was really badass.
He was
really
owning
badass.
Every scene he was in, every single one.
Right. So one of my comic book moments I have, and I forget which episode, which issue this was because I did not write it down on my notes. But he's standing over like the Red Skull or a Red Skull character. It could be Sid, I don't know. But he's like, I'm not perfect. I never was that person. He goes, but I'm Samuel Wilson, raised by Paul and Darlene Wilson to fight people like you for a better world. And like it or not, Nazi, I am Captain America. And he's like standing over.
That's all new Captain America number 3. That's the one that I said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the one. Okay. I didn't have it in my notes, so I forgot what issue it was. But that is just and the way they drew that. And that panel where he says, I am Captain America, it's almost like you're looking up at him like this, and he's just standing there menacing, and it's just amazing. The other one I have is from Captain America Sam Wilson, issue number 10. This one I do have notes for. This is where he was giving the eulogy for Rhodes, and all the black superheroes were showing up, but Misty Knight, he speaks to like thousands of people. I think it was like even aired on TV type situation. So basically, he is the face for this funeral, for this eulogy for James Rhodes. And Misty Knight's like, not everybody knows his history when it's happened, but let me tell you, this is not a thing. This is the thing. And for to understand how deep that is, that he is a part of this history. And that was just a very emotional moment. So that's why I kind of classified it as a badass moment.
Yeah.
Like it.
So, all right, Dan, what you got?
All right. My first one's not really from a specific issue. It's just kind of his backstory, how even though he had experienced racism growing up in Harlem, his father was killed, his mother was killed, all of that, he didn't let it get him too jaded, where he still became a social worker and wanted to help people. And not everybody would grow up and have those circumstances and say, yeah, you know what, I want to help the people in this community and try and make their lives better.
Yeah.
My next one is from Falcon issue 3, the volume 1, the first miniseries, when there's this character, an older guy, who owns this convenience store, and it's destroyed, it's burned down, and he's in the Falcon had saved him because he wasn't wanting to leave the store, and Falcon saved him. He's in the hospital, and he goes to visit him to see how he's doing, and the guy isn't in his room. He's out on the ledge, and he's desperate, and he's saying, what do I have to live for? I'm old. That store was everything. I don't have any insurance and all this. And Sam's trying to convince him, life's worth living. So he goes out on the ledge, but the guy is just kind of like, oh, whatever, you can fly. So he takes his wings off and leaves them inside. So he goes out, like, look, see, now we're on even footing. And he manages to talk to the guy, convince him to come inside, that, don't give up. And I thought that was pretty badass. And then Avengers issue 64. It's actually two pretty badass moments in it. One is, it's a very Falcon-centric issue. And one of them is that the Marvel version of the character Scarecrow kidnaps these two little girls. And Sam's like, oh, I'm going to find them. And they say, like, how are you going to find them? He's like, I've got 6 million eyes or whatever. And he uses his power to see through the eyes of every bird in New York so that he can find where these two little girls are. And then, but even earlier in the issue, when he's confronting Henry Peter Gyrick, who, we said before is one of the biggest dicks in comics.
The biggest dick. Not
in a good way. He is, saying that, I only put you on the team because of, I had to fill a quota. And then Gyrick calls him boy, and Falcon just goes off and decks him and knocks him right on the ground. I was like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is.
And since we're throwing MCU moments out there, one moment I always thought was pretty good. The chemistry that that they have in the MCU with Falcon and Winter Soldier, Anthony Mackie and with Sebastian Stan, like the chemistry they have is what makes all the stuff with them work so well. And you could really see it in Civil War when they're sitting in the car. And he's sitting in the back seat, and he's like, can you move the seat up? And Falcon goes, no. And then he's just sitting in the back and goes, I hate you. Just that like simple deadpan thing, like just it made me crack up laughing.
They redid that scene in the Falcon as Winter Soldier too.
Yeah.
And and the rapport just it's fantastic. It's what makes them work. And do you guys know what Anthony Mackie says every time after they say cut when he does a good scene? His thing is every time he does a big scene and they're like cut, he goes, cut the check. You can go on YouTube and type in like cut the check, and his name, and it'll come up with like a little clip video of him just saying it over and over again every time. Like he'll do a big stunt and then land in the land on like the big the
airbags or whatever.
It'll be like cut the check, and just all him saying it over and over again.
That's awesome. All right, Gary, how about you?
All right, so I kept mine mainly trying to do it when he was Falcon, because I think there were probably more moments that I had when he's Cap, because that's what I really really dig when he went to Cap. But when like Dan, I really liked where he could see through the eyes of the birds when he was going after the Scarecrow, and where he kidnapped the girls, and the fact that he has that ability where he can he can channel all what the birds see to help him find somebody. You talk about a hell of a power. That's that's tracking right there, baby.
Yeah, I know.
I think that is amazing. The fact that he rejected the Avengers after he was named as the quota, and Cap had to ask as a personal favor for him to join the team after Guy Rich, put him on the team. He'd had no experience with the Avengers, no experience with the Lords. I think he'd been with the Defenders a little bit, but as they like to say, they're not really a team. Cap had to ask him for a personal favor, and he said, "Now, what'd you have to go and do that for?" So now he's gonna have to do it. And when the team was able to expand and put Wonder Man back on the team, he said, "I'm out of here." He didn't want to be the token. He respectfully said, "I got to go." And this is from, you think the Avengers were the A team.
Yeah,
and really the A team. They were, that was the top of the heap. I mean, that was the team. That's the 27 Yankees. The Avengers are the team. And even though Sam was starting to fit in with them, it wasn't what he wanted to do, and he had the courage to say, "Nope, this is not me. This is not what I'm suited for." And he bristled at being the token anyway, which came back in the issue 64, volume 3 that Dan was talking about. That came back to light. So I appreciate the fact that he could say, "No, I'm not doing it." I won't do it. Kind of like in the JLA, Metamorpho, when they offered him membership, Metamorpho said no. So did Black Lightning, as a matter of fact, many years later.
He was way more aggressive when he turned down the JLA, though.
Who, Black Lightning?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. You jive turkeys. He called them jive turkeys on the cover.
Yeah.
He sure did. And
the best one to turn down the JLA, though, was Hitman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he was looking through Wonder Woman's costume. That's the only reason he was there. That's what he came for. And the other thing is more of a general societal thing. The fact that a black man would go ahead, yes, he did call him John Turkey, and take the mantle of Captain America, knowing that there were so many people in the country that don't want to see that. And look, I think the comic community handled it pretty well, but not everybody in the comic community. No. So in real life and within the pages of the magazine, the fact that a black man would take on the mantle of Captain America and carry it so proud and so strongly, takes courage, because just like when Jackie Robinson, came through with the Dodgers, right? The pressure that was on him was immense. And Branch Rickey had to say, "No, you cannot fight back." And Jackie Robinson, I don't know if you know this, he was a All-American halfback at USC. So the dude was quite the athlete. And he served in the Army. So he knew what it was like to fight back and not knuckle under. But Branch Rickey said, if you're going to make this work, if we're going to make this work and get the major leagues integrated, you cannot fight. You cannot respond to all the hate and the vile that crap that you're going to hear. And so, just that same kind of atmosphere is what Sam Wilson had to do when he took that mantle, even though, yes, it's a different world, but there's still enough people out there that have enough hate, for him to step up and do that. Takes an incredible amount of courage, and also knowing, and Sam, like Jackie Robinson, is the right guy for it, because he is a guy that is not as volatile. He's a guy that's well thought out, that he's not going to go off on a hair trigger. And when he gets slighted, and when somebody throws racial shit at him, that he's not going to go ape shit, that he is measured and he is calm, and he's going to show you through his actions that he's a better man than you are.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty badass, that you got big enough shoulders to handle the hate that's going to be thrown at you and not react in a guttural level, and go through it with your chin up and your chest out and say, "You got more? Bring it on, bitches."
I can do this all day.
I can do this all day. You bring it on, and I'm still going to walk strong and proud. So I think that's just I think, like I said, I really equate it to, the Jackie Robinson thing. Not that, in comics, of course, with Jackie Robinson was much, much more culturally important.
But I mean, what are comic books but
Yeah.
a reflection of real
Mhm.
life, right? And
Yeah.
we've talked about that hundreds of times on here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's go ahead and then jump to our next segment, and that's critiques and criticisms. And Hagen, I want you to go first on this one. Tell us what you don't like about him.
There's not a lot that I don't like about the character himself. Like I think Sam Wilson is a really good character. I dislike sometimes what the writers do with him, and I dislike the amount of faith that I can see that Marvel has in him.
Mhm.
He tends to always be the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
And Marvel seems to only have faith in Sam Wilson when he's dressed up in red, white, and blue. And I think that he's a much more interesting character than just having that mantle. Not to say that he isn't a great Captain America, but a lot of his standout moments in the comics to me are him sort of shedding those expectations. And I think that we could do with a lot more of that specifically. Like even was it 134 when they made them equal on the trade dress?
Yeah.
Even that to me was like there's this one episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood where the policeman comes over and
Mhm.
Mr. Rogers is washing his feet in a pool because it's a hot summer's day, and he invites this black policeman over, and they wash their feet together, and they're hanging out and talking, and it's just as normal as anything. But people lost their minds over that because this was around the same. I believe it was around the same time that there were segregated pools, and this was
Right.
like sort of a statement on that. And they didn't make it. They didn't make it a big deal. They just did it and presented it as normal. And I love that about Falcon's sort of arc through comic book history.
Mhm.
He's just been from the very first moment that Steve and Sam meet, they're talking to each other on equal footing, and they partner up and they become partners, and they're true partners. It's not like a Batman and Robin situation. They are they talk through things together and they come up with plans together.
Mhm.
And Cap respects Sam just as much as Sam respects Steve. But I do think that he is a lot more interesting than his relationships with other characters, and I wish that would be explored more. What else did I have on here? No, that's it. That's the one big gripe that I have about that character.
That's fine. That's fine. I will go next. I'll kind of echo what you said there. I don't like it when he's on. I'll add that I don't like it when he's on a bigger team because I feel like he kind of gets pushed to the side sometimes, and he didn't really start coming to his own as a solo person or as a leader until he became Captain America. And I like to see more of that with just Falcon. To tell you the truth, I don't know how else to describe it. I think they should write him the same way as they write him as Captain America to be the Falcon. You know, if they wrote him in the same manner, I think he would be more of an epic Falcon to me. You know, and they don't do that. So he does work best on smaller teams, but I think if they got too many players in there, too many hands in the kitchen, I think he gets pushed aside sometimes.
He gets overshadowed.
He gets overshadowed by a lot of the superpowered beings that are there, and I don't like that. So that's basically what I have. How about you, Dan? What you got? Or call first. All right, now Dan, go ahead.
Two things. One, I don't like how they were constantly changing his backstory.
Sal's lights are going cinematic again.
Yeah. You know, he was Sam, then he was Snap, and then he was really Sam, and he was Snap. It was like, well, no, Snap didn't exist. He was a mutant, then he wasn't a mutant, and like, you know, I
didn't even know that they made him a mutant.
Like Professor X at one point told him he might be a mutant, then it turned out he wasn't a mutant, and
wow.
But like a Sentinel and Falcon #3 is still coming after him like he's a mutant. So, but kind of disagree with all of you. I hated that they made him Captain America. I think it's stupid that they have two characters named, running around named Captain America, and not just Captain America. I think it's stupid that they have two Captain Americas, two Spider-Mans, two Flashes, two or multiple characters running around with the same name. Now with like the Green Lanterns, okay, that's obvious. It's the Space Corps, but I think it's dumb that they have multiple characters running around with the same name, and I think I don't like that he, as we stated before, Falcon was the first African American superhero in mainstream comics, and I feel like that is pretty important. And for him to essentially give up his identity to take on the identity of someone else, I think is a disservice to the character, because the Falcon, that's him. He was the first one. So I just felt like he should have kept that name and kept that identity. And even so, like, okay, you took over as Captain America when Steve was an old man, but now Steve came back and he's Captain America. Then he went back to being Falcon, but then he's like, oh, well, I'm going to be Captain America too, and we're both going to be Captain America. Like, to me, that's just dumb.
That's fair.
Okay, very good. All right, Gary, what don't you like?
Well, in a way, what Dan's saying, but differently, I think it was culturally very important for him to step up and be Captain America. I see what they're doing there. Again, I'm on the Jackie Robinson thing, but what you sacrificed was a very unique character. And that, I think the Falcon was a great character, and that creates a void. I think it's cool. I'm okay with having two Captain Americas. I'm a DC guy, so I'm very much used to two Supermans, two Atoms, two Green Lanterns, of course, many Green Lanterns, but two Flashes and all that. So I'm good with all the iterations of characters. I think it was important to, like I said, culturally for an African American man to take that mantle of Captain America. I appreciate that. I just think that you lose a great character in his own right in the Falcon, like Dan was saying. I think you lose that. And my other criticism is we don't see enough of Sam Wilson without the costume. There was a current miniseries where he was Cap, and I think it was a smaller group, and Misty Knight was one of them. I would like to see more interactions between Sam and Misty Knight with their personal lives and things like that. So I just think that there's not enough written with Sam Wilson when he's not wearing his working suit.
Right.
So we see, that we don't see hardly any of his personal life in the comic
side.
Because we used to see a lot of it. We used to see a lot of him outside the costume when he was, being a social worker and doing that kind of stuff.
Yep. So we've lost that. It's now he's become the symbol again. The red, white, and blue again. So, but I think at the cost of Sam Wilson, the man.
A different name other than Captain America. Okay.
Yeah, Falcon.
Yeah.
Falcon America.
I mean, like I said, I just feel like I said, him being the first, mainstream African American superhero, that's pretty important. So I feel like that's something that he, that's his identity, and it's an identity he should, that they should let him keep.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so this brings us to our next segment. But before we jump into the next segment,
wait a minute, I didn't get to give my critiques.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you went first.
No.
Go ahead over the go ahead, Tim the Terrible. Take it over.
My critique
Okay,
is
that's enough.
Okay. Sal forgetting me.
His critique is Sal skipped him.
Yep, it is.
Okay, so we here at the Codex Station hate Marvel writers because they fuck everything up.
Oh, there it is.
There's the F-bomb.
As far as the character himself goes, I don't have any problems with it. I think that he is a great character. He is incredibly in depth. There's a rich history with him as a character, and and I'm going to have to disagree with you, Dan. I think it's great that he is Captain America, and I don't
Eh.
think that his identity was so much stripped away as he took his identity of the Falcon and morphed that into the symbol that is Captain America. That's personal opinion, though. But with the writers and what they do, I really disliked. Like when I was reading the Mad Bomb storyline, the way that they portrayed Falcon throughout the entire story was he was so jaded and pissed off the whole damn time. And that is not the Falcon that I am more familiar with, right? I understand, especially with some of the themes that took place in the Mad Bomb storyline. But I just don't like it when they do that, when they make him pissed off and hating everybody and everything and this big chip on his shoulder all the damn time. I really dislike that. Beyond that, I don't have any complaints.
All right.
Well,
Very
when
good.
they made him Captain America too, you're talking about writers. It's like he became Captain America, and instantly he was like, oh, he put the suit on. He's like Steve Rogers, and everyone's treating him like, oh, now you're the leader of the Avengers. Now you're this.
Yeah.
Now you're that. Like, but he's not. Like,
Well, see, and in the new series, I really like the fact that he is not leading the team because
Right.
I don't think, me personally, I don't think that's something that Sam would want to do. He doesn't want to lead. Carol Danvers, you can lead. You go right ahead. I'll kick ass with T'Challa over here, and we'll go save the Impossible City.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a street level guy at heart. He's not a sidekick. He is a co-partner. He is a co-headliner, and he knows this. But he is perfectly fine working by himself or with one or two other guys, and that's I think where yeah.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Sorry to
No, that's all right.
to skip you there for a second there. Kind of
That's okay.
confused me. All right. So this go ahead leads us to our next segment of top covers. But before we do, Tim, we got some sponsors to take care of today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So,
What do we
ladies,
got? What do we got?
We got something good.
All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, you've seen this before, but Nirvana Comics, my local comic shop, my exclusive comic shop, has been kind enough once again to give us one of their exclusive covers to give away to you. And boy, do we want to do this. Lettuce is already entered into this contest, and you can be too. This is for Scarlet #1, the
Oh, that's bad.
Nirvana
That's badass.
Comics exclusive cover, ladies and gentlemen. Really easy to enter. I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. First things first, all you got to do is make sure to hit the subscribe button on Codex. Go ahead and do that now while I'm talking. Take you all of a second and a half to do it. It's just a point and click. Use your finger right there. There you go. Simple, easy. Way to go. Congratulations. Second, what you got to do right here in the chat, and Dan's going to show us everyone that does that now and through the rest of the show. And if you catch this after the fact, after the live, go ahead and type in hashtag giveaway in the comments or in the chat right now, so that way you can be entered in to win Scarlet #1. We're going to do this through the rest of the month, and then at the end of the month we'll do one of our live shows and we will pick the winner at random, and this beautiful copy will get sent directly to you. So once again, subscribe to the Codex Station. Super easy, super simple. In the chat right now, hashtag giveaway. Or if you're catching it after the fact, hashtag giveaway in the comments. There you go. Oh, Pam's here. Hi, Pam.
Hey, Pam.
Yeah, I can. Snoop, I'll be over there in July to show you exactly how to do that.
Oh, is that a commitment?
That is a 98% commitment, sir.
Oh, that number keeps getting higher there, Tim. All right, buddy. All right. This is news to me.
There you go.
Yes.
That the numbers have changed. I like this. It's going in an upward trend.
We're getting closer.
Getting closer, man.
Rumors are rumors until they're true, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the top covers. And Hagen, I want you to go first again on this, and I want you to show us and talk about your top covers.
All right, let me bring them up here.
Yeah. So I picked one that had to be on there, and then two that I really enjoy. So the one that had to be on there is Captain America 117. it's one of my favorite covers from the Captain America run. It's an iconic first appearance cover. No notes. I'd change absolutely nothing about it. And then we've got on the left hand side, Sam Wilson, Captain America #1, the hip hop variant. This is an homage to the Long Live ASAP hip hop album, and I just think that him in the shadow with the flag wrapped around him looks really, really cool. The black and white just looks tremendous. I really enjoy that. And then we've got on the right hand side Falcon #1 from 2017. This was his mini series that he had, and I really enjoy that this came out after he was Captain America and gave up the mantle. And the cover is just indicative of him sort of shedding that and saying, like, this is my book. I'm the Falcon. I'm Sam Wilson. And I think that that's a really good character cover. Those are three of my favorite Falcon covers for sure.
I love that one where the shield is breaking into pieces. Yeah.
That is very cool.
That's
all
awesome.
right, Tim. Why don't you go next and show us yours?
I was gonna say it's a cool cover, but like I didn't really like the red and black color scheme for his suit. I always thought that red and white suit that he had was such a cool costume.
His second costume?
Yeah.
The main one? Yeah.
Yeah, the one I used to the clip, yeah.
Right on. All right. Let me bring mine up here.
Yep. There you go.
Okay, so what I tried to do was showcase Falcon across the spectrum, right? So over on the right, you have the suit that a lot of us know and recognize. That's from Falcon #1. We'll be talking about that series a lot more later on. But that's the suit that I know him from. That's one of my favorite suits, and I think that what we've talked about with him being more of a street level hero, that shows that right there. You've got the destroyed wings, the tattered suit. He's got his back against the wall, but he's pushing off of it. He is not done by a sight.
Yeah.
The one in the center, Falcon #7, that's from the same series as what Hagen showed, that issue #1. I've never seen this costume before, and I really dig it. I think it looks really cool. I agree with you, Dan. I wish it would have been the red and the white color scheme instead of the black and the red. I think the red and the white fit him so much better. But I just love the suit design here, with the exception of those massive shoulder pads. Those I think can be done without, but beyond that, I think that it looks awesome, and that cover just looks totally badass. And then over there on the far left, Captain America #0. I love that cover. I think that cover is amazing. That is gorgeous Alex Ross artwork. And that shows Captain America, Sam Wilson, with his identity as the Falcon integrated into the suit. I think it just looks absolutely fantastic.
I have to agree.
I like that a lot.
Mr. Falcon, the 80s called, they want their shoulder pads back.
That's the early 2000s there, sir.
Rob Liefeld designed those.
Yeah, I know. All right, Uncle Gary, why don't you show us your top covers?
All righty. So I tried to keep it all Falcon, because there were some really cool Cap covers, but I was trying to keep it all Falcon since we were talking about him there. The one on the left is the Falcon, one of his mini series, and that's Paul Smith. And like Tim said, he's got his back up against the wall. He's bloodied. He's beaten, but he is not. I mean, he's been beat, but he is not beaten, and he is not. He is not quitting. This is just in between rounds. So the one in the middle, I think, is really interesting. The Marvel Premiere 49. Y'all have an idea who did that?
I want.
Wait, what's that? I do.
I'm gonna go with John Romita Sr.
I see the resemblance there.
There's
Sal Buscema.
Miller.
It's Frank Miller.
Oh,
Frank Miller. Oh,
Frank
sorry.
Miller with Klaus Janson.
Yes,
inking it.
Sal Buscema was the interior art. Frank Miller,
right.
Yeah, Frank
Wow.
Miller.
Yeah, so that's a Miller cover. That is a Frank Miller cover. So I just love it. And we talk about street level. There he is, right there, street level, baby. Yeah. That's exactly what he does. Him and Red Wing swooping through there. I just thought that Marvel premiere was a beautiful cover, and from Frank Miller's early work. And then the last one is the Captain America and the Falcon #5, and that is by Steve Epting. And I just love that with the two of them, Cap, Falcon, one of the supreme teams in comic history, and Red Wing, that big tip, that TJ, that is epic. That
he did the
He sure did.
He did.
Oh God.
Well, where he took that infamous Captain America and redrew it as the Captain America Falcon, and
The homage.
If you can believe it, it's actually worse than the original.
Wow.
He did.
I'm getting it
How's
right
that
now
possible?
so we can show it after the covers. Give me
Wow.
1 second.
So, but so the last one's by Steve Epting, Cap, Falcon on the rooftop, getting ready to dispense justice with Red Wing. So those are my.
Wow. This looks glorious.
Awesome covers, Gary.
Thank you.
All right, Dan, let's see your covers.
Right, give me 1 second.
All right.
There we go.
All right, so I'll start all the way on the right, the Captain America and the Falcon. I just think that's such a cool cover where you got Cap and Falcon and then Black Panther teaming up with them, where they're all just coming straight ahead at you. And whoever it is that they're running at is getting ready to get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, as you could see, like this is when, he got his new costume that that Black Panther gave him, where he, because when he had his first costume, he was the Falcon, but he couldn't fly. He didn't have wings.
Yeah, that's right.
So now he did. And what's funny too is, even though the book was called Captain America and the Falcon on the cover, if you look at the the copyright on the inside, it was still they never changed the copyright from Captain America.
Oh,
So
Well, they didn't do that on Green Lantern and Green Arrow. They didn't do that on Daredevil.
yeah.
Widow either.
The middle one, like Gary, I got the Frank Miller one from Marvel Premiere 49. I think it's cool. It shows him and Red Wing flying there. It shows him in the neighborhood, in Harlem where he's from, just protecting the, like I was saying, how I like the character as a street level character that's always protecting the people that everyone else kind of forgets about. So this has got him right there in the neighborhood. And then the one on the end, the Avengers 64 Legacy 479. I think this is my favorite one of him. It's just got that badass costume, him and Red Wing flying through the city. It's got a real dynamic pose. And yeah, that's
I love that he's taken up almost every inch of that cover. That is
Yep.
Yeah.
I used that. That was my fourth cover, and I used it for comic character of the Days cover.
Yeah.
Day page, yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's
That's
that
awesome.
Avengers cover is rad.
You
Yeah,
get
that's
bonus points because Red Wing is on every single one of those covers.
Yep.
yeah.
There you
But that Avengers one is my favorite of all of them.
That's awesome.
Love it.
All right, let's go ahead and bring up my covers then.
All right.
Well, look at that. Well, look at that.
What do you know?
All right. I'm not going to really go into the first two. I think we've covered those pretty much enough. I'll just give a quick shout out to the artists on each one. So for Avengers 64, that was cover artist was there was
Ivan
color
Reis.
penciler Ivan Reis. Yep. And then of course Marvel Premiere was Frank Miller, and Falcon #5. That was Jay Anasolito.
That's
So,
an awesome cover.
We had to pronounce that right. But anyhow, this is the later incarnation of his outfit with the big ass shoulder pads. I liked it. It was pretty cool because he's wrestling that vampire. He's got him hooked around with the chains on his neck, and it just looks pretty badass to me. So that's why I had to throw this one in.
Right on.
All right. So now we could jump to our next segment.
Well, before we do that,
Before we do,
TJ, this is for you, buddy.
okay, all right. There we go.
You
You're
know
right,
what?
Dan.
Look at
It's much worse.
because look at the placement of the chest symbol. if you're looking at it from,
it's like they separated his chest and
yeah, it's like they move, so if you were looking at him head on, it would be like, off to one side. It's like watching an episode of Peppa Pig.
Oh my
like
God.
maybe Rob Liefeld was watching that when he drew this, and it's the same thing on the original Cap one where like it's not centered very well.
Yeah.
So that one's not centered very well. And then he goes into there's so much less detail on that one than there was, at least the original one. He put a lot of detail in it, even though it was a terrible drawing.
I still hate the original worse. I think the original is worse still.
See, my dog's even pissed off about it. Look at them. Yes, Snoop. Oh my God.
I don't even think that shield was a circle either. Like something about it is uncanny.
Oh, his feet are there, TJ. They're just
below frame.
Way down. Yeah, below frame. There you go.
But yeah, like you look at this one and the original one, at least like I said, at least the original one had some level of detail in it. That one was just like, yeah, whatever, okay, I'll do this. But it's just
that one that we just saw was a cash grab. The first one was him actually trying somehow.
Him being serious. Here,
Yeah.
I'll bring that one up for you guys too. Hang on, just
you don't have to. You don't have to do that. It's all right.
Let's not torture everybody tonight.
That's what's so bad about the first one is that he did that and he looked at it when he was done. He's like, "Yeah, this is it.
That's good. Yeah.
This is good. This is gonna sell."
Wait a minute. This one right here, John.
Oh God.
Is this what you're talking about? It's a big file, big chest too.
Oh gosh.
Look at that. Whoa.
Oh God.
Dude, that's worse. That is so much worse than the
Well, okay. So like Dan said, this has a little more style to it, but that chest is incredibly huge.
The detail makes it worse.
And then that is
terrible. You look at the star, like it's completely off center. Like, if he wanted to have it like that, he should have had him. He should have had him angle. I mean, we're debating the artistic merits of Rob Liefeld.
He's deformed. That cap is deformed terribly. Oh my God.
Super serum my ass. That's some other.
He ate a lot of Wheaties that day.
I'm actually angry that I had to see both of those again.
Oh God. He was like, screw it. I got some hacky sack to play. This is good enough. That's
Good enough.
exactly right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next segment. Come on. Enough of the
best cap cover art ever.
The deformed cap ever. Let's not do this. Let's go ahead and jump to essential readings. And these are 3 readings we each picked out that we all feel that you have to read. And I'm going to let Hagen go first again on this one. So why don't you go first?
Rob Liefeld is the worst thing to happen to Captain America since the block of ice.
There you go.
All right. So I've got Captain America and the Falcon #1. Captain America number 144, Volume 1. And Captain America number 117 through 119. That one is his first story arc. It's obviously his first appearance, and then up until they leave the island. And Captain America and the Falcon #1. I'm sure that's not the one from the 90s. The year, I can't remember exactly which year that one came out. And Captain America number 144 is just. I believe that's an issue where he just tells Cap that he can handle something on his own, and he goes off and does it. And it's one of the first times he gets a even somewhat solo story. So I just really enjoy the 3 of those because he takes center stage really in all 3 of them.
Nice.
2004.
Thank you.
Captain America and the Falcon.
Nice. All right, Tim, why don't you go next?
All right. Let's see here. So right off the top, the Falcon, his first solo series, 1 through 4. If you want Falcon front and center, I mean, in the 80s, that's it. And I know that other people are going to talk about this, so I'll leave it to them to go deeper into detail. But Avengers 2024, 1 through current, I think it's 14 issues right now. So it's still incredibly easy to get, and you can get pretty much every issue for cover price. He's on the team. One of my favorite moments from the series is in there where he helps that truck driver. But McKay does the writing, and the artwork is by a varied team of artists. It's incredibly good, the whole series. And if you want Sam Wilson as part of a team where he gets his moment to shine and is on equal footing with everybody else, that's it right there. And down below, Captain America 193 through 200, that is the Mad Bomb storyline. That is where Jack Kirby comes back to Captain America. He does the writing, the artwork, and the editing on this. And this story was something else, let me tell you. Jack Kirby, number one, the man can do no wrong as far as artwork goes and writing. His writing style is so unique, and I loved the heavy sci-fi element to this. So basically what it is you have got this group of far right and or left wing freedom fighters, right? That like they want to change America and they want to make America their way. And it's very reminiscent of 1984 in a sense, if you've ever read that, which if you haven't, I highly recommend you read that. That is an incredible eye-opener. But there's these things called mad bombs, and the names of some of these are kind of silly: the peanut, the dumpling, and the big daddy. But the point of the bombs, yeah, right. The point of the bombs is that when they go off and they don't explode, but they send out these waves, these emissions that make people go absolutely mad, right? Start fighting and hurting and destroying and just pure and total chaos. And Captain America and Falcon have to go and find these things and destroy them and find this big, huge bomb and destroy it before the bicentennial celebration of the United States. And it is just a wild 8 issues, and it's absolutely incredible. If you want great Jack Kirby writing and artwork on Captain America, that's it right there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, you said the names of the bombs were kind of dumb, but I mean, what were the names of the atomic bombs that the U.S. dropped?
Well, that's true. Well, yeah.
Boy, yep.
Yeah.
So,
but like when I saw when they were talking about him, Henry Kissinger is in this too, and I was like, Henry Kissinger, what the hell's he doing in here? But he was Secretary of Defense, I think, at that time, or Secretary of State. I think he was Secretary of State. Either way, he was in there and he was explaining the bombs to Cap and Falcon, and he's like, and then we have peanut, and I couldn't help but laugh, and he's like, and then there is dumpling, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then we have Big Daddy. What? Oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Sounds like you get names out of Vegas.
Oh my god, something, I don't know. But yeah, it's worth the read.
Absolutely. All right, Uncle Gary, what do you got?
All right, well, I'm going to definitely also an ape shit bomb. Agree with Lettuce there. Captain America 117 to 119, the introduction of the character, the first story arc. That lets you know everything you need to know about the character of Sam Wilson. I mean, he doesn't have any powers. He's leading a revolution, trying to help these people that are being subjugated on this island. So, that's everything you need to know about Sam Wilson's right there. Avengers 64 Volume 3, that's the cover we showed a little bit ago. This is when he has his reckoning with Guy Ritchie, who is the biggest dick in comics, and he calls him boy, and as was it Dan that said, yeah, he knocked his ass, to the ground, calling him boy. So there's a lot there, and also it's an interesting issue because Sam sees that Guy Ritchie is being
blackmailed,
manipulated, by the Secretary of State named Rusk, and so Falcon and Guy Ritchie come to an understanding that they're going to start spying on Rusk and, uncovering what he's up to. So I thought that was interesting that, that this character that Sam did not care for at all, he sees that there's something happening to him and he's being manipulated. And instead of just saying to hell with him and leaving him to stew in it, that he actually helps him. I mean, he didn't do it totally out of the goodness of his heart, because Rusk was doing things that was affecting the Avengers. But he realized that, you know, he and Guy Ritchie could have a common goal here, and that's to put the surveillance on Rusk. So I like that, and it came, it brought the feelings out from when wrapped up those feelings and put a circle, came full circle of the feelings that Sam felt when he was, named to the Avengers to only be a token minority. So I think that was good. And where he was at that point, Sam was in a good standing with the Avengers, where he was a member in his own right. He wasn't just put there by the government, that he had earned his spot on the team through his actions. So I like that. And then Falcon 1 through 4 was that first miniseries that he had, where he finally, got a mini in his name, and I really enjoyed it at the time. And I bought them off the rack, and I have them. So I thought that was a very very good miniseries, and a very good spotlight for a character that didn't in that time wasn't getting any solo love. So I liked it a lot.
All right, very cool. All right, Dan, let's see yours.
Pretty similar to Gary's. The Falcon Volume 1. That's the 4-issue miniseries. Yeah, it was written by Jim Owsley, who later changed his name to Christopher Priest for I don't know, whatever reason. It was written by him. First issue was drawn by Paul Smith. The rest of it was drawn by the late great Mark Bright. And yeah, the writing's good, the artwork's good. It shows him the way I like him, the street level hero, where he's not just fighting crime, but he's trying to use his position to help people as well. I got the Captain America and the Falcon. I just put the whole series on there, 1 through 14, because it's not really a long series, so it's easy to pick up all the issues or just get a trade for it. But the first few issues are very Falcon heavy, very Falcon centric, but it's a good team up between them, and it's again written by the same guy, Christopher Priest. And then that Avengers 64, which I had it for my badass moments, I had it for my cover. I got it here too. That's just the Avengers aren't even in this, and like literally they don't. There's not even a single other Avenger that even makes like a one panel appearance. It's just a very Falcon centric story, and we've already gone over all the reasons why. So yeah, check it out.
Very good.
All right, cool. All right, go ahead and bring up mine.
There you go.
There we are. All right, so for mine, I got first one up is Falcon and Winter Soldier 1 through 5. This is the storyline cut off one head, but it features the Winter Soldier as well. So kind of shows you their dynamic, and I like how they worked well. Or their dynamics working in this series. It was pretty good. Next one down is Captain America 133, 134. Obviously, this is a classic one. I think the storyline was to call him Stoneface, but this shows more of the street level version, you might say, as they're trying to do some gang shakedowns and stuff like that. The gangs are doing shakedowns of business owners. It's just like very showing the very street level stuff. And this is I believe, if I remember right, this is like the where the Falcon and Captain America become official crime fighting partners. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think I am right on that. Anyhow, it shows a socially conscious side of Sam, I believe, as well, because of what he has to do to pretty much save his block of his neighborhood. I mean, it's the street level thing. So, and the last one I have is the Falcon 1 through 5, Take Flight. This is from 2017, I believe. Yeah, 2017. It's right there on the screen. But yeah, so this is more of the street level thing. He's doing trying to break up a war between rival Chicago gangs. It's a new dimension of Falcon, I think, where he if you thought he was playing more of second string to Captain America, this is not it. This is where he's really taking doing his thing on his own. So I really enjoyed this story as well. So you got to check this out.
Very good. Very good.
Nice.
All right, go ahead. There we are, and we're
There
back.
we are.
We're back, and we got the number. We got the combination for the air shield too. All right. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move to our next segment, which is best writer and author. And this, look at that. Tim's already got notes.
I got a list.
He's got a list. Well, then, maybe Tim, maybe you should go ahead and kick us off. But let me just say that this is not necessarily an artist and writer that work together on the same series. They could be from different books. But this two, when you go to think of this character, these are your go-to people.
Okay, so I had a few for writer, right? And these are the people that didn't make the cut. So I had Jed McKay, who's doing the writing on Avengers right now. He also is writing Moon Knight, which he does an incredible job. I think he'd do all right with the solo Falcon story. I had Frank Miller on there if we wanted something dark and gritty. But I think the only choice that I really could go with is someone that could write Falcon in the best light possible, and that's Ed Brubaker.
Yeah.
Brubaker did a fantastic job on Captain America. He did a fantastic job on the solo Winter Soldier story, and I think if he did a solo Falcon 12-issue maxi, it would be amazing. I think
he did write Falcon in Captain America.
Right,
Yeah.
but if he does a solo Cap story, I think that's gold right there. And I had two artists that I would have chose to do this. One was Jim Aparo. His work on Batman is bar none some of the best that I've seen.
Yep.
And I think at Jim Aparo's height, if you would have paired Brubaker and Aparo together, that would have been great. But I think the person that could really do visual justice with a Brubaker story would be Dan Jurgens.
Oh, like that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so Ed Brubaker for writing, Dan Jurgens for artwork. That's what I got.
Tim, to hear you talk about Aparo so much lately, it does my heart good, man.
I'm reading Nightfall right now, and Jim Aparo is doing the Batman artwork, so I'm seeing every bit of that from the 90s.
And when you were reading the Brave and the Bold stuff with the Sergeant Rock, he was doing everything on Brave and the Bold. He was penciling it, inking it, and lettering it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 110%.
Yeah, so he was a one-man band.
I love it.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah,
All right.
Brubaker and Dan Jurgens.
Okay.
Those are my
Nice.
favorites.
Didn't
Very
Dan Jurgens draw him? Didn't Dan Jurgens work on him on the Captain American Falcon series?
I don't know.
For a
I
couple
haven't seen that.
You gotta
So
show
if he
this
has,
comment.
that's great. I thought Tim was going to No, definitely not.
Come on.
That's
Do you want me to get mad, TJ? Do you want me to yell and scream?
President of the fan club right over there.
That's a whole different show when Tim talks about that.
I think we should dedicate one show to just bash Zeb Wells.
Sure, done.
That's
Sign me up.
well, I think that's when we get banned from Facebook.
Yeah, I looked it up. He drew the last couple issues of that Captain American Falcon series from the early 2000s.
Even better. So he's already got some time in drawing the Falcon, so he knows what to do.
All right, Gary, who do you have?
All right. Well, for writer, I got Christopher Priest. I think he brings something to the character because he knows what it's like to be an African-American man in a field dominated by those that aren't. So I like that. And maybe I'm a little biased because we met him at the Big Lit Con, and
Yeah, we did.
I enjoyed the interactions I had with him. So I like Christopher Priest. And for writer, I really liked what Gene Colan did when he first introduced him. Yeah, Tim's rant was legend. So I enjoyed
Goes
that
down in
artwork.
history.
I enjoyed the artwork from the originator. So Gene Colan's my guy.
Right on.
All right, Hagen, you're up next. Who do you got?
So my favorite writer that I've read of the Falcon is probably Rodney Barnes. He was the writer on Falcon 2017. I thought that the first 5 issues specifically were really, really well done. And I was a big fan of his characterization of the Falcon. My favorite artists that have done him, like if you want just absolute classic, you can't really go wrong with Jack Kirby. like I said earlier, once you see his art style, it's instantly recognizable, and that's a very good thing. I also really like, as far as a modern artist, I really like Daniel Acuna. He has some really, really good covers, and he also did, I think it was Sam Wilson, Captain America. I think he was the artist on that run. But I thought that he did a really good job, and I'm a fan of his art style.
Nice.
As far as the Dream Team goes, I would sell my soul for a gritty gang war style comic book written by Ed Brubaker with the art by Dennis Cowan.
Oh,
I think that would be just the bee's knees. I just can't think of something better than that.
That is unquestionable that it would be good.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
I go with Gary for writer, Christopher Priest. He wrote that 4-issue Falcon miniseries. He wrote the Captain America and Falcon series, and I think he just really gets the character. As far as artist, at least for me, there hasn't really been one artist that's had a long stretch on the character. There's been a lot of artists that have had short stretches on it. So I just copped out and went with the guy that drew him when he was on the Avengers, because how can you go wrong with George Perez?
You can't.
Right on.
You cannot go wrong with George Perez.
And some of those Avengers issues then too were drawn by Byrne too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wondagore stories were drawn by Byrne, and he did a good job on Falcon too. Yeah.
Perez is always a great choice for artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I have to agree with that. I think my last 3 choices have been Perez. The last 3 characters or whatever it was. Yeah. For my guys, I have Rodney Barnes as well for my author, and with Christopher Priest being right there next to him. They're to me, their writing styles and what they brought to the character, both amazing.
Did a lot of great cap
So,
covers.
but I'll lean towards Rodney Barnes to side with Hagen, and so we have a little bit of disparity in the group there. So, and for artist, like Dan said, there was not a lot of people that drew him a lot, but I did like Sal Buscema's work on him as well. So.
Buscema's 70s stuff, I think, is way better than when he was on Spectacular.
Sal, funny story about our guest last week, Mike. Mike's aunt was on a bowling team, and she was, I bowl with somebody that is into comics, and she has the guy call Mike, and it's Sal Buscema. Yeah, I bowl with your aunt.
That's funny.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And Mike's like, Sal Buscema's calling me.
That's great.
If I was going to pick an artist too, an artist that did a lot with Cat, but not so much the Falcon. I think Lettuce mentioned him in the pre-show is Mike Zeck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I have to give a shout out to Alex Ross and his covers,
Mm-hmm.
that he did, for.
Well, gentlemen, let's not forget the mighty Rob Life.
Oh, don't!
Why are you doing that again? See, now you're just hurting our guest. Yeah, you're just hurting our guest.
I'm going to do something to get that taste out of your mouth. You just said Alex Ross cover, and I've got this right by me. This is Sam Wilson, Captain America, #7. Sort of a spoof on Captain America #1.
There you go.
Gorgeous
Alex Ross art. Just forget that ever happened. There you go. That.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's the one that's the first appearance of the second Quasar, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's got the classic logo, which I love.
Yep. Definitely. All right. So if anybody has any final thoughts about this character tonight, we can go ahead and wrap this one up.
I'm done.
No, we're all done. We're done. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining in. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you, Hagen, for coming on and joining us tonight. We hope you liked us enough to come back and join us again for something else, an After Dark, another character of the week, something.
I had a ton of fun. I'll do this whenever you guys call me up.
All right.
All right.
So listen, the first time you're here and things go awry and all, it's like it's not your fault. But if you choose to come back again, that's on you. And you
That's on
subject
you.
yourself to that. Yeah, you asked for it, Ben.
Christopher Priest would be great for writer. I'd like to see someone like Scott McDaniel. For
Oh,
art.
I
There
like
you
the
go.
Scott
Oh.
McDaniel idea. Yeah. So yeah, we would love to have you again, Lettuce. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Lettuce, the door is always open, man.
Let us invite you again.
If you're in the chat in the middle of a
you
show,
sly bastard.
You're gonna fit right in here, Hagen. The door is open for you.
yeah, oh yeah, that's happening. You'll see more Lettuce comics here, ladies and gentlemen. That's for sure.
All right. Once again, I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy. Is with me as always, Dan the Man Kelly. Next to him is the curator of the comics, the Ric Flair of comics,
Woo!
the preacher of the lore, Uncle Gary. Over to the far left or far
Way over
right
here.
over there is Tim the Terrible. And of course, our special guest of honor tonight, Hagen from Lettuce Comics. Please go check him out on his YouTube channel. Do you have Instagram as well, or is it just YouTube?
I do. It's lettuce.comics.
Lettuce.comics. Go ahead and check him out there as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we can go ahead and put this one to bed. Until we hear 2 words, we can't do anything until we can't shut it off till we hear 2 words.
2 words. 2
2 words. 2.
word. A whole
Zeb Wells.
gaping. Zeb Wells. Zeb Wells. Oh, Zeb
That's
Wells.
our new 2 words, ladies and
You know what?
gentlemen.
I'm getting heartburn.
Let me tell you, Tim would love it if somebody would dig 2 big gaping holes and put all of Zeb Wells' work into it. And cover it
Thank
up.
you.
And Zeb Wells himself, probably too.
Oh,
Probably
my
too.
God. We love you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy our gaping holes just for you.
Woo, wow.
We'll see you on. Oh, thanks, guys. Lettuce, you really like your channel. Keep them coming. There you go.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Sam.
Right on. All right, ladies
Glad
and
you didn't
gentlemen.
spell coming differently.
I missed the first part of the show. Did Hagen mention Falcon's first appearance was in Hulk 180? No, he
No.
did not.
Did not.
We glossed over that. Yeah.
Yes, you missed it.
Be good, guys.
guys.
Never.
Never.
I hope you all have a great night. We will. We're going to dive into each other's gaping holes here in just a
Oh,
minute.
no,
Ooh,
no.
hello.
Thanks,
Take me to dinner
TJ.
first.
Negative. There it is.
There's Snoop.
Gaping holes.
All right.
Much
We love
later.
you guys, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
later.
We'll
See you
next
later.
time.
That's